Welcome to Book by Book, where we distill the biggest insights from essential reading into actionable knowledge for you. Today, we are opening up a book that feels incredibly necessary right now. It's How to Win Any Argument Without Raising Your Voice, Losing Your Cool, or Coming to Blows.
And the author, Robert Mayer, he's a lawyer and a negotiation expert, so he's seen it all.
Yeah.
And his promise is, well, it's pretty radical, isn't it? A way to handle conflict without burning bridges or losing your mind.
Exactly, because arguments are they're everywhere, at work, at home, even just online. We live in this age of high tension and, really polarized conversations.
It's constant friction. And what Mayer saw in his career is that most of us are basically bringing, well, spoons to a construction site. Our tools are completely wrong for the job.
That's a great way to put it. We see arguments as fights, right? Like a boxing match where one person has to win. You bring your best facts, you try to overpower the other person. But Mayer says that kind of winning is actually, in the long run, a huge loss.
A guaranteed loss. You might win the point in that one moment, but you've damaged the relationship. You've lost their trust, their willingness to cooperate next time.
So his whole approach is different. It's not about being the loudest or having the most data.
No, not at all. It's about influence, not domination. He realized the real roadblock in almost any argument isn't weak logic. It's emotional resistance.
And that's the core of it, isn't it? If someone's emotional guard is up, your brilliant logical points are just noise. They don't even hear them.
They physically can't process them.
So that's our mission today. We're going to give you Mayer's roadmap. We'll break down his core philosophy, the 6 big lessons for productive conflict, and give you some real actionable tools you can start using right away.
And we have to start where he starts with the mindset. Because if you go in with the wrong goal, none of the tactics will matter.
Okay, so let's dive into that.
Yep.
Section 1, shifting the goalpost. This feels like the foundation for everything else in the book.
It is. The core insight is that he completely redefines what winning even means. It's not about domination. Winning, for Mayer, is about 3 things. First, you have to actually understand the other person.
Genuinely understand them, not just wait for them to stop talking.
Right. Second, you align what you want with what they need. And third, you gently guide the conversation to an outcome you can both live with.
It's almost like emotional judo, You're not meeting force with force. You're using their momentum to guide the outcome.
That is a perfect analogy for it.
But tell me this. Why do my perfectly logical, fact-filled emails so often fail? I mean, I lay out the case point by point and it still gets rejected.
Because the failure is almost never about the quality of the facts. Mayer says it's almost always an emotional blockage. He points to 3 things. Emotional resistance is the big one, but also just poor timing, or, and this is huge, completely ignoring how the other person thinks.
We're so focused on what we're saying, we don't think about how they're hearing it.
Exactly. If they feel you're attacking them or dismissing them, their brain literally flags your argument as a threat. The logical part of their brain, the frontal cortex, it takes a backseat.
Wow. So the facts can't even get in. That changes everything.
It does. It means you have to shift your goal. You move from that default, ego-driven, I must be right, to something much more useful. We must move forward.
We must move forward. I like that. It's not I win, it's we solve.
And that one phrase transforms the entire interaction. It's not a competition anymore. It's a shared mission. You're signaling that you're there to collaborate, not to crush them.
And that saves so much energy. I mean, think about the classic battlefield argument. Even if you win, you then have to deal with the fallout, the resentment, the passive aggression.
You're paying relational debt. Mayer's whole system is about getting the outcome you want without going into that kind of debt. The people who are truly influential consistently, they aren't the loudest. They're the ones who've mastered this flow of mindset, emotion, and conversation.
Okay, so this foundation moving from a fight to a collaboration is the key. That makes these 6 lessons we're about to discuss much more than just tactics, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
They're about how to connect, not how to attack. And it all starts inside your own head.
All right, let's get into section 2 and the first big lesson. Lesson 1, the right mindset wins first. This feels simple, but I suspect it's the hardest part.
It is the absolute foundation. Mayer's so clear on this. Winning starts before you even open your mouth. It starts with your internal disposition. If you walk into a room thinking, I'm right, they're wrong, and I'm going to prove it, your body, your tone, your words will betray you.
Even if you're trying to be polite.
Even then, the other person will pick up on it instantly and their defenses go straight up. They stop listening and just start preparing their rebuttal.
So that hostile mindset is the problem. The solution has to be a mindset of curiosity. But how do you fake curiosity when you really, really think you're right?
Ah, but you're not faking it. It's a tactical shift. You're not curious about whether you're wrong. You're curious about solving the puzzle. Your internal script changes. Instead of, how do I win? It becomes, what's really going on here? What do they actually need? How can we find a path forward?
And that internal change has to have a huge external effect,
A
right?
massive one. Your tone softens automatically. Your language becomes more inquisitive. You ask more questions. Your posture opens up. You start signaling safety instead of threat.
And that invites cooperation.
It completely changes the game.
Let's use an example. Say a colleague you respect proposes a really bad idea for a project. The data is all wrong. Your instinct is to just tear it apart.
Right. The typical response is, your numbers are off. This timeline is impossible. We need to do this instead. And poof, they're defensive. The conversation is over before it began.
So what's the Mayer way?
First, you check your mindset. We both want this project to succeed. Then you lead with that tactical curiosity. Something like, that's an interesting angle. Help me understand your thinking on the timeline. What's the main goal you're trying to achieve with that approach?
I see it. You're not attacking their idea, you're asking about their motivation, and that tells you what they actually care about. Maybe they're just worried about a deadline.
Exactly. Now you know their why. You've shifted the frame from my idea versus your idea to how do we best get this done?
He has this analogy of a tightrope walker, which I love.
It's perfect, isn't it? If the walker obsesses over the fear of falling, they get tense, they wobble, they fall. But if they focus on the process balance, calm, deliberate steps, they make it across. Fear is the enemy.
So the practical takeaway here is to take a minute before a tough conversation. Don't just review your points, review your attitude. Set an intention.
Yes, prepare your facts, of course. But more importantly, prepare your disposition. That's what sets the stage.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So moving from our internal state to how we engage with them, we get to lesson 2. Understand their needs, the linkage strategy. This is where we build the bridge.
This is maybe the most powerful tool in the whole book. It answers the question of why rational arguments fail. People resist when they feel unheard or when they can't see what's in it for them.
So linkage is just connecting your idea to something they already care about.
That's it. It's framing your position so it directly solves a problem they have or helps them get something they want. You have to find their motivation.
That means you have to be a bit of a detective first. You
Right.
need to figure out what drives them. Is it security, recognition, efficiency?
That's exactly right. Let's say you're talking to someone who is driven by having control. If you present an idea as a new rule they have to follow, they'll hate it.
They'll resist immediately.
But if you frame that same idea as, here's a new system that will give you much better visibility and, frankly, more control over the outcome, now they're listening. Now your idea serves their core value.
Can you give us another concrete example? Maybe at work, with a change nobody wants.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
This happens all the time. Imagine you're rolling out some new mandatory software. The classic mistake is to focus on the company's benefits, like cost savings. Nobody cares about that.
No, they just see more work for themselves.
Right, so you have to link it to them. For the person who's worried about making mistakes, you say, this new system has better safety features, which means less risk for you.
And for the ambitious person who wants to get noticed,
You frame it as, hey, if you become the expert on this tool, it's going to make you the go-to person on the team. That's great visibility for the next round of promotions.
you're changing it from a burden into an opportunity.
You're tapping into the motivation that's already there. The bridge analogy is perfect for this. Your goal is on one side of the river, their needs are on the other. Linkage is the bridge that connects the two.
So the actionable step is, before you ever propose your idea, you need to be able to say, I know you care about X, and here's how my idea helps you get X.
If you can't complete that sentence, you're not ready to speak.
This flows so well into the next lesson, which is about managing the conversation itself. Lesson 3, control the dialogue. Listen so they speak. And then this is where that paradox of control comes in.
It's a huge paradox. We think control means talking the most, having the last word. But Mayer says that's not control, that's just domination. Real control is guiding the rhythm and the emotional tone of the conversation.
And his little mantra for this is great.
It's brilliant. Listen so people talk. Talk so people listen.
Why is just laying out all your facts, just dominating the airtime so bad?
Because the moment someone feels like they're being lectured or steamrolled, they stop listening. They just shut down. They're either planning their counterattack or just waiting for you to stop talking so they can say their piece.
So you might win the debate on paper, But you've lost the person.
And you've lost the chance for them to actually commit to the outcome. By listening first, by letting them talk, you get vital information. Often the thing they say is the problem isn't the real problem.
You have to listen to find the real objection.
Yes. You have to earn the right to speak by proving you've heard them. And the best way to do that is with reflective listening. Not just nodding along, but actually summarizing what they've said.
Like with a friend who's upset about work, if you just jump in with, "You should quit," you fail.
You've completely failed. The mayor approach would be to say, wow, it sounds like you feel totally overwhelmed and like you're not getting any support at all. Is that right?
You're validating the emotion.
You're showing them they've been seen and heard. Only then, once they say, yes, that's exactly it, are they actually open to hearing your thoughts.
It's that dancing analogy again. You can't just drag your partner across the floor. You have to feel the rhythm first, move with them, and then you can guide the dance.
Beautifully put. And the actionable takeaway is so simple, but so powerful. Start any argument with a question.
Not a statement.
Never a statement. An open-ended question. Let them talk. And then, and this is the key part, summarize their point back to them before you say a single word about your own idea. So if I'm hearing you right, your main concern is about the budget. Did I get that correct? That one step disarms them completely.
Okay, so that covers the words we use. But what about everything else? That brings us to lesson 4. Use body language and timing the silent persuaders.
And these are huge. Mayer believes that a huge percentage of whether your idea is accepted or rejected happens before you've even made your point. It's all in the nonverbals.
Your tone, your posture.
All of it. If your arms are crossed, if your voice is sharp, if you're not making eye contact, your words can be perfect, but your body is screaming, I am a threat.
You have to signal safety.
Always. An open posture, a calm tone, steady eye contact. These things create psychological safety, which makes the other person receptive.
And what about timing? We often feel like we have to address things immediately, but Mayer says that's a mistake.
A huge mistake. Trying to have an important conversation when someone is stressed, distracted, or rushing is just setting yourself up for failure. The exact same idea presented over coffee on a calm Tuesday morning will be received completely differently than one shouted during a crisis on a Friday afternoon.
Let's use the example of giving a team member some constructive criticism. That's always a tough one.
It is. And the wrong way is to do it in a meeting or right after they've made the mistake when they're already feeling defensive.
So the Mayer way is to be very intentional.
Very. First, you choose a private setting. Second, you think about the timing. Maybe you do it the day after they had a small win so they're feeling confident, not defeated. Third, you manage the physical space. You sit at the same level. You don't sit behind a big desk. You create an environment of collaboration, not judgment.
It's that analogy of planting a seed.
Exactly. You wouldn't plant a seed in the middle of a hurricane. You wait for the ground to be soft, for the conditions to be right. You prepare the environment.
So the takeaway is, be deliberate. Choose your time and place. And do a physical check-in with yourself. Are my arms crossed? Is my jaw tight?
Constantly monitor your own nonverbals.
But what happens when you do all that right and the other person still gets angry or hostile? That takes us to lesson 5. Address anger and hostility finesse versus force.
This is the troubleshooting section of the book, and Mayer's rule here is absolute. When emotions flare up, logic is useless. It's dead on arrival.
So your job is no longer to win the argument.
Your only job is to de-escalate. You have to lower the emotional temperature before any kind of productive conversation can happen again.
So meeting their anger with more facts, or worse, with your own anger, is a guaranteed loss.
It's like pouring gasoline on a fire, just hardens their resistance. Mayer says you have to follow a sequence. First, acknowledge their emotion. Second, diffuse the tension. Then and only then, you can try to redirect the energy back to the problem.
Give us an example of a phrase that does that. Let's say your partner starts raising their voice in an argument.
Okay, the instinct is to say, don't yell at me, or calm down. Both of those will make it worse.
Guaranteed.
The Mayer approach is to pause the argument about the topic and address the emotion. You say something like, I can see how upset you are right now. Help me understand what just made you feel that way.
Wow. That's powerful. You're not reacting to their anger. You're getting curious about it. You're turning toward them, not against them.
You're hitting the pause button on the fight. You're putting water on the fire. And the key quote from this section says it all. Hostility doesn't break resistance. It hardens it.
So the actionable step is to have one of those de-escalation phrases ready. When you feel the heat rise, stop talking about the issue and use your phrase. I can see this is really important to you, or let's take a quick pause here.
And just that act of self-control on your part is incredibly persuasive. It signals that you're mature and that the situation is safe, which often makes them calm down to match your energy.
But sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes you just have to get out. Which brings us to the final lesson. Lesson 6. Know when to walk away, recognize lost causes.
This one requires a lot of discipline, but it's crucial. Not every argument can be won right here, right now. And sometimes, pushing harder will only destroy the relationship, which is the very thing you're trying to preserve.
So what are the signs? How do you know it's a lost cause for the moment?
Mayer gives a few clear signs. Voices keep getting louder even after you try to de-escalate. They keep interrupting you and clearly aren't listening. But the biggest one is what he calls fixed repetition.
They just keep saying the same thing over and over.
Over and over again. At that point, it's not a dialogue anymore. They're just reciting their defensive script.
Like a client who just will not accept your professional advice because they have one idea stuck in their head. If you keep arguing, you just make them dig in their heels even more.
Exactly. You're damaging the trust for no reason. In that moment, the smart move is to step back. Preserve the relationship for another day. You could say, I hear your concerns, and it seems like we're at an impasse for now. Why don't we both think on this and revisit it tomorrow morning?
You leave the door open.
You leave the door open. It's the chess analogy. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a pawn, the immediate win, to save your queen, which is the long-term relationship.
The actionable application, then, is to have an exit lane ready. Something neutral, not blaming. Maybe we should take a break. It's a good one.
It's perfect. Mayer says the smartest move is often knowing when to say, let's pause.
So those 6 lessons are incredibly practical, but to really get them to stick, Mayer provides some deeper psychological frameworks. Let's get into those in section 3.
Yes, these are the why behind the what. These frameworks explain why the tactics work.
And the first one is fascinating. It's called the Great Wallenda Effect. Tell us about that.
It comes from the famous family of high wire walkers, the Wallendas. They were known for performing without a net. The effect describes how focusing on the fear of failure actually makes failure more likely.
Right, I remember the story. Carl Wallenda fell when, for the first time, he was apparently more focused on not falling than on just walking the wire.
That's the core of it. And in an argument, it's the same thing. If you go in terrified of being wrong or losing, you get tense, defensive, and you wobble. Mayer's point is that your belief that you can guide the conversation to a good place is what allows you to stay calm. You focus on the process listening, linking not on the fear of the outcome.
That connects right back to lesson 1 and having that calm, curious mindset.
It's the engine for it.
Yeah.
And that leads to the next framework, emotional motion versus rational argument. We have to keep hammering this point because it's so important.
That arguments are driven by emotion, not logic.
Exactly. The emotion is what provides the motion in the conversation. If the other person is feeling threatened or disrespected, they're on an emotional wave that your little surfboard of logic is never going to be able to ride.
So you have to address the I feel before you can ever get to the I think.
That is the sequence. It's non-negotiable. You have to validate the emotional reality first. Trying to skip that step is the #1 mistake smart people make in arguments.
Okay, so to put it all together into a system, he gives us the persuasion progression. This is like the step-by-step workflow.
It is. It's a 4-step funnel to make sure you do things in the right order.
Okay, walk us through it. What's step 1?
Step 1, establishing rapport. This is all about creating safety. You use your open body language, your calm mindset. You start by asking a question. You're just getting a feel for their emotional state.
Then what?
Step 2, creating alignment. This is where you use linkage. You spend time figuring out what they need, and then you explicitly connect your idea to that need. You say the words, because you need X, my idea does Y for you.
And only after those 2 steps do you actually present your idea.
Only then. Step 3 is offering your idea. But even here, you're presenting it concisely and always framing it in terms of the benefit to them.
And the final step.
Step 4, obtaining commitment. You don't just leave it hanging. You summarize what you both agreed on. You clarify the next action. Okay, so we agree to try this for a week, and we'll check in next Friday.
It's a really clear, logical process. It forces you to build the foundation before you try to put the roof on.
And the whole thing depends on one last little piece. Reading people. To do the linkage step, you have to have some idea of what makes them tick. You have to be a student of human nature.
This is so practical. Okay, let's make it even more practical. Let's boil this all down into our final section, section 4. Actionable takeaways and recap. 10 things people can do right now.
Let's do it.
Okay, tip 1. Preparation check. Before a tough talk, ask yourself two questions. What do I want, and what does the other person want or fear? If you can't answer the second question, you're not ready.
Tip 2. Start with inquiry. Your first sentence should always be a question, not a statement. Can you walk me through your thinking on this? Is 1,000 times better than, here's my opinion.
Tip 3. Use pauses. The second you feel things getting tense, just stop talking. Take a breath. Say something like, okay, I can see we're both really invested here. Let's just take a second. A micro de-escalation.
Tip 4. Connect the dots explicitly. Don't make them guess the benefit. Spell it out. If we go this route, you'll get 2 hours back in your week. Be specific.
Tip 5. Be open. Do a quick body language check. Uncross your arms. Make steady eye contact. Keep your tone even. Remember, the silent persuaders are always on.
Tip 6. Graceful exit. Have an exit phrase ready for when you hit a wall. It feels like we're going in circles. Why don't we circle back on this tomorrow? Preserve the relationship.
Tip 7. Self-awareness. Know your own triggers. What makes you angry? When you feel that spike, you have to stop. The moment you lose your cool, you lose all your influence.
Tip 8. Confirm next steps. End every conversation by summarizing what was agreed upon. Okay, so the plan is X. It eliminates confusion and locks in the commitment.
Tip 9. Alignment language. Use yes and instead of yes but. Start by agreeing with some part of their reality. I agree that the budget is tight, and what if we also look at it this way?
And finally, tip 10. Reframing. This is a mental exercise. Before you start, tell yourself, this is a conversation, not a fight. This is a collaboration. That one thought can change your entire demeanor.
Those 10 tips are fantastic, a perfect little toolkit. Now, to really sear this into our memories, let's recap with the top 5 quotes from the book.
I love this part. These are the big ideas in a nutshell.
Okay, the first one sums up that whole internal game. Winning begins with your inner self. It all starts with your own composure.
Next up, the absolute core of persuasion, linkage. To persuade someone, you must link what you want with what they already want. So simple, so powerful.
On controlling the conversation. There is a quantum difference between speech and persuasion. Just talking isn't enough. You have to ensure your message is actually received.
On dealing with difficult emotions, a crucial reminder. Hostility doesn't break resistance, it hardens it. Always choose the finesse of water over the force of fire.
And finally, on strategic patience. Sometimes the smartest move is knowing when to say, let's pause and revisit later. Preserving the relationship is the real win.
You know, what Robert Mayer really shows us is that influence isn't magic. It's a skill. It's a system you can learn based on psychology. When you start applying it, you stop seeing arguments as battles you have to fight.
And you start seeing them as structured conversations you know how to navigate. The core message is just so empowering. Conflict is a given, but combat is a choice. You can get what you want while making your relationship stronger, not weaker.
It's about being deliberate. It's about being strategic. And at the end of the day, it's about winning the long game, which is built on respect and trust.
So we want to leave you with a final thought to take into your next difficult conversation. The next time you face a disagreement, which one of those silent persuaders, your timing or your body language, are you going to focus on mastering first? If you found this summary helpful and you want more breakdowns of essential books like this one, please subscribe to our channel, Book by Book. And if you could like this video and maybe share it with someone you think could use it, that would be amazing.
Your support really does make a difference. It's what allows us to keep digging into these books and bringing you the biggest takeaways.